There you are. You're in the sales call. You've been planning it, working on it, getting ready for this moment for a week. You finally got half an hour on your prospect's calendar and you want to use that time well. But you get in, you shake hands, and you say, "How are you today?" And then you start building trust, bonding, and rapport. Before you know it, the entire sales call is gone. You've not accomplished anything that you showed up to accomplish. Have you ever been in that scenario before? I know I have. See, that's one of the things salespeople have to be very careful about, is letting the time be sucked away because they don't have a plan of attack, they don't have a foundation laid in order to facilitate the discovery of what it would mean to work together. So I want to share with you 3 tips, tactics, or techniques that I use to keep my sales calls moving forward. I call this the chain of communication. It's a chain because it links every single interaction together in order to do one thing: drive the call forward to a yes or a no. This is not about getting yeses. It's about getting to decisions. So the chain of communication will help you get there. Now, down below is our prospecting templates. We do a lot of cold emailing to get people into conversations. Go download it. It's freaking awesome. We've spent a lot of time figuring out these templates to get them to the place where it makes it easy to get calls. So when it comes to the chain of communication, though, there's 3 main things we want to do. The first thing is we've got to focus on time. See, time is a very finite resource. Once you've spent a minute, you will never get that minute back. So I'm not saying don't build trust. I'm not saying don't talk about friends and family and what you're doing this weekend. You need to always do that. But you've got to do it with strategy, and you've got to do it with a plan so you don't talk about that for the entire meeting, okay? So, time. You want to always say, "Thank you so much." I say it this way: "Thank you so much for inviting me into your world." It's very different than, "Hey, thanks for jumping on this sales call with me," right? They invited you in. So it sets up a guest-host relationship, which is invaluable when it comes to communicating. So the first thing I do is thank them for inviting me in. Then I say, "Now, how much time did you set aside for our discussion, our meeting, or whatever it is we're doing? Our lunch, our day, whatever," right? How much time did you set aside for that? See, this is important because if you don't know how much time they have, then it's easy to waste the time thinking we have an hour when really you only have half an hour. Or you have half an hour and really you only have 5 minutes, right? You've got to always start with how much time have you set aside for this discussion. Then I always ask, what would make this a good investment of your time? So the order here is incredibly important because I know you have an agenda and I know I have an agenda. That's part of life. Agendas are everywhere. It's not a bad thing. You've got to have an agenda, otherwise everybody would be wasting a whole bunch of time. So you've got to start by asking them their agenda. And here's why. If I said, "So what I want to do today is I want to talk to you about your prospecting, what you guys are doing, how you've done it, and figure out, is there something I can do to help?" If that's how I position it, the prospect is going to say, "That sounds great. I want to talk about that too." But what I didn't find out is why they said yes to meeting in the first place. See, you've got to get their agenda on the table. So I always start with, "So Steve, I'm curious, what would make today an incredible investment of your time? What would we talk about? What would you find out about? How can we make sure this is a win for you, right? What he's going to tell you is exactly what he wants out of the meeting. And guess what? If you give someone what they want out of the meeting generally will go better. So I always start by saying, all right, what would make this a good investment of your time? Because granted, we've got to be cognizant of what each other is doing. After they answer whatever they answer, I start taking notes. Awesome, I'm gonna make sure we cover that, make sure we cover that, make sure we cover that. And you let them share. Ask them more questions. Anything else? What else would make this a good investment of your time? Because what they're sharing is what they really care about, right? If you just go in and start talking about all the stuff you do without finding out what they're interested in, you're wasting their time and you're making it harder on yourself to close the business. So what we've got to do is make sure we're constantly asking these questions. What's going to make it a good investment of your time? Then once they share, I'm going to say, that's awesome. I'm going to make sure we get through all of these topics, this bullet point, these lists, whatever. I'm going to make sure we cover all of that. Now, I'm looking for a couple things. One, I'm looking for, are we a good fit? Because to be transparent, I am not a good fit for everybody, and that is okay. I'm not trying to close everybody. Neither should you, right? We only close people when it's a good fit. So I tell them right up front, I'm trying to see if we're a good fit. So I'm going to be asking a lot of questions. I really want to get to know you and your business and see what it is you're trying to do to see if I can even help with it. Is that fair? They're always going to say yes. And then I say, now I'm going to be asking some questions while we're going through this. I'm going to be going through and making sure we're on the same page. Is that all right? Yes, of course. Now, at the same time, you're going to have questions for me. And I need you to ask those because we've got to figure out by the end of our time together what we do next. So there's a couple options. One, you could say, Justin, you are smelly and fugly, and I never want to see you again. Right? That is an option. And that's a perfectly fine option. Now, I've got to be candid. Mr. Smith, you seem like a really nice guy. So one of my biggest fears is you may feel that way, but you don't want to hurt my feelings. So you'll say some version of, let me get back to you. This looks really great. Let me talk to XYZ. Whatever it is. Can I get your commitment right now that if this isn't a fit, you're just going to tell me? Right? What we did is we just went for the no. We gave them permission to say, no, this is not a good fit. And the reason that is great is because it might not be, right? Most of the time, salespeople look for every way not to give them a no or not to get a no. The problem is, if you're looking to avoid getting no's, you avoid getting no's. And when you avoid getting no's, you are not sorting through clients and finding ones that are a good fit and ones that are not. A no is not a bad thing, you guys. A no is one step closer to a yes. So that's what we've got to do. We've got to position it to give them permission to tell us no, because it's going to save us time. It's going to save them time. It's going to set you apart because you're not trying to close everybody. There's a lot of good that comes from giving them the ability that they already have, by the way, to say no. So that's how we handle no. And then we say at the flip side, it may come out that we jive really well. We align on a lot of things and we could do something together. I don't even know what that is or what it would look like. But would you be comfortable if by the end of today, we decide either no way in hell, not a good fit, I don't want to meet with you ever again, take me off your list, you're dead to me, or we could decide, you know what, I think there's legs here. I think there's something we could do together, and we'll explore it. So what I just did is a hard no, soft yes. Who knows what it could be another meeting, could be another follow-up call, it could be anything. But that's a soft no, or a hard no, soft yes. Now, as you get further in the process, you want to flip those around and make it a hard yes, soft no. But that's advanced stuff. We'll get into that in the future. So you've got to, again, focus on the time, get their agenda, and then talk about what's going to happen at the end of the call, at the beginning of the call. And so we call it the chain of communication, because you start with that. At the end of the call, you create that agenda for whatever happens next. So I'm going to send you this email, I'm going to do this action, I'm going to set you up here, yada, yada, yada. So, chain of communication, what's the agenda, what's the outcome, you wrap up with it, and then at the next meeting, right here, you start with what you wrapped up with. So you start with what was that agenda we set at the last meeting or the last interaction. Okay, now where do we go? And it ties the entire sales process together so that you don't have to wonder, what should I do next? Now, this process it's proven, it works. There are so many ways you can do it, but it only works if you use it. So make sure you're using it. If this has been helpful, guys, please like the video, share it, get it out in front of someone who could use the information. And don't forget, down below, there's a link to our templates that we use to write cold emails for our clients when we start prospecting for them. Go grab that, put together your cold outreach templates so that you can continue growing your business, because small business is the only thing that is going to take this economy where it needs to go. And I'm excited to be a part of it. You should be too. Hope you have a great day, guys. Like, subscribe, talk to you soon.